Welcome, colleagues. As we've been informed by Stanley, our
Noreen is
IT
on standby
partner.
just in case there's any.
Okay, that's fine. We are experiencing some technical glitches here and there, but with the support of the IT person we have in the room, we have been able to fix some of these challenges. So kindly bear with us. We are grateful to have all of you here. And this afternoon, we are going to speak on what we normally refer to as the LETIS AfLIA webinar. My name is Sarah Kadu, the moderator for your day. We are going to be here for 1 hour and 15 minutes or something slightly closer to that. So our theme this afternoon, this morning, is Beyond Library Information Services, thriving in the AI age with a library service background. And this is edition 2. The webinar has been put together by the efforts of the LETIS. And LETIS, I'm repeating LETIS because we are proud of the section. It's Library Education Training Information Services of AfLIA. As many of you may be aware, AfLIA has a number of sections. And for us, we are coming from the Library Education and Training section. This afternoon, colleagues, I'm happy to have colleagues here from the continent who are prominent speakers prominent speakers with vast knowledge and experience in library and information science education in the continent, who are going to share their experience and knowledge. And please remember, wealth of knowledge they are going to share with us. And I'm sure we are going to enjoy the rest of the day with us. I have these two colleagues. One is by the name of Dr. Monica Mensah Dankwa. Dr. Monica Mensah Dankwa is a colleague from the University of Ghana, and she's a senior lecturer in the Department of Information Studies, University of Ghana. She's editor-in-chief of the Ghana Library Journal. She has published widely in peer-reviewed journals, and she's the current publicity secretary for LETIS section, and also serves as the vice chairperson, AfLIA Sub-Saharan Africa Region Division. We welcome Dr. Monica Mensah. The second speaker we have this afternoon is Mr. Francis Ssekitto. Mr. Francis Ssekitto is a lecturer at the East African School of Library and Information Science, Makerere University, in the College of Computing and Information Sciences. He is also a doctoral researcher with strong interest in educational technology and very passionate about innovative library spaces. Welcome, Mr. Ssekitto. So without much further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Monica Mensah to take us through what you have for us.
Okay, thank you very much, my able chair, Dr. Sarah Kadu, for that warm and welcoming introduction. And let me say a good day to our esteemed colleagues who are present with us today. I know that we have respected library and information science educators with us, distinguished librarians and guests. So permit me to use the acronym Library and Information Science throughout this presentation. And I'm deeply honored to share this moment with you and to speak on the topic Reimagining Library and Information Science Education for the Digital and Social Justice Era. If you'd permit me, I would like to put off my video so that I don't get any interruptions. Okay, so let me also see whether I can have, Sarah, is it okay? Am I in the presentation mode?
You can continue.
Is it better this way?
Now, perfect. Perfect.
Good. Thank you very much. So, colleagues, I am deeply honored actually to share this moment with you, as I've indicated already, and to speak on a topic that is not only very close to my heart, but also critically important and timely for the future of our noble profession. And when I say our noble profession, I'm talking about the library and information science profession. I would like to begin by saying that my presentation, as I go on, you realize that I have actually blended persuasion with information and education. So forgive me when at a point I become so passionate about what I'm talking about. The aim is to share some key insights and also to provoke some thoughtful reflections from us all here today. Reflections that I think and hope that would inspire meaningful action in our profession. And I pray that as you listen, you will be able to engage so that we all reimagine library and information science education together. Before I move on, I've already been introduced, that is me. Before I move on, I would like to talk a little, just a minute, about the department I am coming from in the University of Ghana. The reason is that this would have some kind of reflection on my presentation. So I am coming from the oldest department of LIS education in Ghana. This department is called the Department of Information Studies. It was actually established around 1961 as a library school, and my department is still the premier LIS school in Ghana. And until recently, where other schools or other universities in Ghana are beginning to have LIS programs, the department has since been the premier. However, even at that, this department in Ghana is the only LIS school that trains both diploma, degree, Master of Arts, Master of Philosophy, and doctorate students in Ghana. So I believe as we are going around the conversation, you would appreciate what we're going to talk about. So colleagues, unlike the normal presentations that we have been listening to over the years, webinars where we have a presentation outline, I would like to indicate that my presentation outline is not going to be that of the traditional presentation outline. Forgive me for this. I would like to begin with a short story, and this story is going to be my presentation outline. So the title of my story is The Bridge That Time Outgrew. Now I want you to look at the bridge as I'm telling the story, and then you follow me up with the story and the bridge. Now this is the story. So many years ago, colleagues, in a very small town somewhere in Africa by a great river, a group of skilled builders began constructing a very beautiful bridge. The community was so excited about this bridge. The bridge was so strong. It was very elegant. And at the time, perfect for the cats, it was perfect for the horses and the travelers who crossed it. Years passed, 30 years, 100 years, 50 years. The cars replaced the cats. As you can see today, we don't have cats, we have cars. And the horses. Heavy trucks started rumbling into town using the same bridge. The river shifted course slightly because of the usage of the bridge over time. New storms battered the landscape in ways no one had ever predicted. Yet, the bridge remained exactly the same. As expected, colleagues, the bridge started to crack under the new weights. It bends slightly with each storm, and sometimes you could even hear some sound creaking from the bridge. So one day, a young boy stood by the bridge and asked, and you can see my young boy in the presentation here. So the young boy asked, why don't we update this bridge? After this question, an elderly man who had been present when the bridge was first built heard the boy asking this question. Shaking his head, the elderly man said, this bridge was built by the best minds of the past. It served us well. Surely it will hold the test of time. The boy, out of respect for the elderly, I want us to put ourselves in the story. Out of respect for the elderly he admired, like we admire most of our mentors, said nothing more. He simply walked away. His thoughts and ideas were locked up inside his mind. But colleagues, each year, fewer people were crossing the bridge because of the dangers that it was coming with. Many found other ways, but some of these other ways were more even dangerous, some much longer. The town, in fact, suffered because what was once enough was no longer fit for a changing world. That is the end of my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, how does this story relate to us as library and information science professionals, especially in LIS education? And colleagues, when I refer to LIS education, don't take your mind back to the professors and the lecturers who are teaching. I want you to see all of us as LIS educators, because whether we are faculty or practitioners, we are all involved as students or teachers at one point in time in our lives, and you agree with me on that. So today, our LIS is a bit like that bridge, this bridge you're seeing. It was built strong by brilliant minds for the needs of another era. But the world has shifted, colleagues. The storms are different. The travelers have changed. And so we must be like that young boy, willing to ask the difficult but necessary questions. That is what my presentation is going to look at. So as I indicated, I'll be a bit passionate about it because I'm trying to do a presentation to persuade you a bit, to inform you a bit, and to educate us a bit. So don't mind me when I become so passionate. I am not here, however, to give you a formal, typical presentation. Instead, I am here to inspire us to imagine a future forward, a justice-centered LIS education, one that truly meets the evolving needs of our communities today. I am here to challenge us to rethink. I want us to inspire ourselves, to realign our teaching, to realign our research and our professional leadership with the demands of the digital age and the principles of social justice. So, colleagues, just like the story of the bridge, I ask, and this is a take-home question for all of us, how do we not maintain the bridge, but redesign it for a future we can barely predict? Okay, so I don't want us to only maintain the bridge, we need to maintain it. But how do we redesign this bridge for a future that we can barely predict? And secondly, how do we build an LIS education that is strong, that is flexible, and deeply rooted in justice and digital resilience? My presentation today is going to look at these issues, and by the end, we would know whether we have something to hold on to or not. So I will start with some opening reflections. Let us imagine together. How many of you here feel that your LIS education truly prepared you for the realities of today's digital and socially complex world? I want you to just think about it. Just reimagine it and see whether it's really serving the purpose. So this is the take home. By the time we finish, you will tell me your answers. The second reflection, the second one is, let me see, my slide is not, okay, it's here. If you're given the opportunity to redesign LIS education today, what's one topic or skill you think must be at the core? Write it down. When we finish the presentation, you mark yourself and see whether you are actually within what we are going to discuss. So I'll move on to my introduction quickly, colleagues. As I indicated earlier on, I invite us to engage in a moment of deep reflection, not just on the content, if I may say, we deliver in our classrooms, for instance, or workshops or webinars like I am doing, but on the values and visions that shape our pedagogy. As educators, as professionals, as librarians, as LIS professionals, we are tasked with a responsibility that is far greater than disseminating technical knowledge or impacting district skills. We are in essence shaping the very future of our field. We are nurturing the next generation of knowledge professionals who influence how our societies preserve memory, how we promote access to information, and how we protect intellectual freedom. Therefore, my point is that each learner that passes through our hands is a seed of transformation. Whether they go on to become academic librarians, whether they become archivists, whether they become data creators, information managers, even medical doctors, lawyers, farmers, or digital literacy advocates, anything that they become, we have to know that their worldview and capacity to make a difference are often influenced sometimes by what we expose them to, what we emphasize, and even what we omit, what we take out from the curriculum is also part of it. And so I ask us to reflect not only on what we teach, but why we teach it, and perhaps more critically, for whom we teach it. Think about these questions, colleagues. Are our curricula responsive to the real-world challenges of our time? Do our teaching philosophies embrace diversity of thoughts, culture, and experience? Think about it. Are we equipping our students not only to function in an information-rich world, but to critically engage with it, challenge its injustice, and reimagine its possibilities? If we are honest with ourselves, I believe we must actually acknowledge a very discomforting truth that while the world around us has been transforming at a rapid pace, much of our educational approach in LIS, especially in Africa, remains anchored in the past. And this has been proven by a number of research studies. In many institutions, colleagues, you agree with me that we continue to uphold core structures and conceptual models that were designed for a time when libraries were largely physical, when libraries were largely linear and controlled spaces. But today we have moved from there. So I believe the question you'll be asking yourself is, so then what is the LIS landscape today? What is it like? Where are we going? What is the way forward? I am here to reimagine with you where we can go. But we have to first of all understand the shifts in the LIS landscape, and I call it the changing LIS landscape. Now, colleagues, you agree with me once again that the global information landscape has undergone dramatic shifts. From the emergence of open access, we have the digital scholarship today, to the rise of artificial intelligence, the almighty AI, and big data. Therefore, the role of information professionals are no longer confined to the walls of the library. Today's LIS graduates must be fluent in digital tools, survey in data ethics, and they have to be bold, just like that little boy who asked that question. He wasn't bold enough anyway because he shied away when the old man asked the question. But we must be bold in advocating for equitable access to information. Equally important, colleagues, is the call for social justice, as I mentioned in my topic. We need to recognize and dismantle the systemic inequalities that have long shaped how knowledge is produced, how knowledge is distributed and consumed. In fact, a number of our LIS students do not even know about the ongoing movements for diamond open access, especially in Africa. But this should be our song, because in Africa, we actually have to advocate for this. Again, colleagues, you will agree with me that in many African contexts, our scholarship is underrepresented in global publishing platforms. That is another story for another day. Maybe my chair will organize another webinar, and then we can come and reimagine our scholarship. Our indigenous knowledge remains at the margins of academia. They are not close. Our libraries often struggle with resource constraints. Yes, we know. While our communities face the consequences of digital exclusion, especially in Africa, and we'll mention some of them. So what does this mean for LIS education? It means we cannot afford to teach our students only how to catalog, only how to classify, only how to index or shelf. We must prepare them to become leaders, critical thinkers, advocates, scholars, and even digital change makers. So one of the things that I would like us to first talk about is the digital disruption. Yes, you will agree that more than ever, the world of information is undergoing rapid and transformative change. Yes, open science movements are breaking down traditional barriers to research and knowledge sharing. Artificial intelligence is reshaping how information is created and protected all over. These things have shaped the way we receive information, we access information. Digital scholarship now demands skills far beyond traditional cataloging and indexing. It requires data literacy. It requires digital curation and the ability to engage with dynamic information environments. So for library and information science professionals, this digital disruption is not a distant phenomenon, colleagues. It is already shaping our daily lives, everything we do, everywhere we go. Now we carried our whole life on a mobile phone technology. When we are going to work, we have our mobile phone, we are transacting businesses on our mobile phones. The digital technology is with us. Now, let's talk about social justice. So alongside technology shifts, colleagues, the call for social justice in knowledge systems is growing very, very loud. I believe you've heard a number of things that have been coming up on social justice. Recently, I think last year in December, there was a big conference in South Africa, which looked at diamond open access, and it really came out with very insightful action points. The digital divide, colleagues, remains real and deepens existing inequalities. Many local and marginalized voices are still excluded from the global flow of information. And today, as we go on, I will share with you how we can include social justice in all the courses that we teach, even cataloging and classification, among other traditional courses. Now, the next thing is about global and policy trends. Colleagues, globally, major policy frameworks are calling on all sectors, including libraries and information fields. Let me give you typical examples. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs as we all call it, emphasizes access to information, education, gender equality, and partnerships for development. Another one is UNESCO Open Science, which actually advocates for a more inclusive and collaborative as well as transparent approach to research and knowledge sharing. Last one that I can mention is also the African Union's Agenda 2063, which envisions a continent driven by knowledge economies, innovation, and culturally grounded development. These frameworks, colleagues, demand that LIS education actually equips graduates who are not only information specialists, but also policy advocates, capable of advancing these global goals within local context. But as I am speaking, I know somebody might be asking, Monica, you are talking about all these things, but what about our local realities? We have challenges. We want to do this. We want the Africa we want, but challenges. How do we go around them? Yes, we have challenges. And these we call the local realities. I would like us to walk through it. And then after that, I'll tell you how we're going to actually walk around these local realities to actually turn them into opportunities. So let's look at some of the local realities that I know you'll be talking about. Infrastructural gaps, yes. Many institutions face persistent problems, especially in Africa, unreliable internet supply, limited access to modern computers, we don't have them, lack of digital tools. All these are some of our local realities. Outdated curriculum. I'll talk about outdated curriculum, but let me mention that many LIS programs, Bakari actually indicated that we are still teaching syllabi that are designed for a pre-digital era. We are still teaching syllabi that were designed for that old bridge. But the bridge has different travelers today. The story has changed. The storms are different. So we will need to adjust and make sure that we are updating, okay, to include emerging areas like data science, digital humanities, etc. Limited research capacity. There is a shortage of faculty actively engaged in cutting-edge research on global scholarly conversations in Africa and even the world in the LIS fraternity. That is a reality. In fact, I did a paper with my chair, Dr. Ssekitto, together with one of the lecturers in my department, Dr. Katrina Samwa, recently, and we compared Uganda and I think Ghana, looking at the research output of LIS professionals, and all these challenges came out. In fact, it's a paper you have to read. Then we also look at brain drain and staff shortages. These are also local realities. Yes, because of the nature of our LIS systems in Ghana and even in other parts of the world, Africa, Togo, Benin, African countries, even in the developed world, you will see that most of the times talented LIS graduates often migrate to better opportunities. So sometimes when we talk about the fact that doctors are migrating from African countries to the European countries, it is not only about doctors. We are also migrating because we also feel that we want better opportunities, and that's brain drain. Fragmented policy and professional leadership is also one of our local realities. Weak alignments between LIS education and national information policies. That's one of them. And professional association strategic visions. That is also another discussion for another day. Now, let me go on to the sixth one, lack of integration of indigenous knowledge systems. Curricula in LIS often prioritize Western models of knowledge organization, ignoring local languages, oral traditions, and indigenous systems. You see, our students are usually not trained to manage or digitize or preserve Africans' diverse knowledge systems, and we need to reimagine this as well. Economic pressure on students. We can all actually sit within this. When we're all students, we juggle work and school. Some of us are doing our PhDs. We are in the MPhil section, but we are also working in libraries. We have husbands, we have children, home things to take care of. So as we are juggling between all this, then we are limiting the ability to fully engage in transformative learning experiences like internships, research projects, community outreach. You don't find students who have enrolled in LIS in Africa, especially, having involved themselves in these areas. That is the local reality we have not looked at. Then gender and equality barriers are also there. Low public and institutional appreciation for LIS roles. This one, I have a story around it that I'll tell you one day, maybe somewhere when I meet you. But it's a story that I have told in many, many, many webinars, many conferences as keynote speaker. Most of the times, LIS roles are often undervalued in universities, ministries, societies. That leads to underinvestment in LIS education. You will agree with me that in most of our organizations, LIS professionals and the profession itself is not valued. When I say valued, we the individuals ourselves, that's a local reality. But there is a way of turning ourselves more valuable, making ourselves more valuable to the communities that we serve. And as I have always advocated, to be able to serve the people that you are actually serving, you will need to speak to them in a language that they understand. So as LIS professionals, if we are in academia, especially, we will need to speak the language of academia. Other than that, there's a language barrier. Okay, now the last one is resistance to change. This one is also another topical area. I remember somewhere 5 years ago, we did a paper on it. We're together with Professor Pepe Chwadazi and a colleague in BAM Library, Mr. Kwesi JC, on change management in libraries. And in fact, the findings were very interesting. So in many institutions, there is a culture. So most of us will resonate with this. There's an institutional resistance to revising old programs. No, we will not revise it. This bridge is the best bridge. It was built by the best minds. It was built by the best scholar. It will stand the test of time. Yes, it is good. It is the foundation. But we will need to change. We will need to reimagine, adapt new teaching methods, and integrate interdisciplinary approaches in our LIS education. Colleagues, the potential is immense. When I go around today, sometimes I'm invited to give a speech or to provide a keynote speech, I realize that most of the participants in the LIS profession, especially in Africa, are very, very young. We have a youthful population, growing technological system, vibrant traditions of storytelling, and who are rising up in the profession, whom we can groom to reimagine our LIS education very boldly and urgently so that we can produce a generation of information leaders who are digitally savvy, who are socially conscious, and who are globally competitive. Now, let's ask another question. Sorry if I'm being passionate about this. Forgive me. Let's ask another question. Where then are we now? Where is LIS education now? So I'm going to jungle between where we are now and where we could be. And when you look at the beautiful picture that I have here, which I'm admiring myself, this is where we are. It's not bad at all. We're doing well, but where can we be? We can be here. It is not something we cannot get to at all. So let's look at some of the things that we need to talk about where we are. Now, colleagues, for us to build a future-forward LIS education, we must first honestly examine where we are. Okay, so just like the little boy in the story of the bridge, courageously envision where we are and where we could be, because that boy saw that where we are is not enough. We could be somewhere. Where could we be? That is the question we should be asking. Now, where we are, the first point is that we are at a stage where there is overemphasis on traditional skills. Many LIS programs, like I have mentioned, still place a heavy focus on cataloging, classification, and traditional reference services. Curriculum in many LIS schools remain outdated, often focus more on traditional librarianship than on digital fluency, data stewardship, or social justice leadership. I believe that some of us can take some of these areas up and research on it to see where we are and where we could be. We continue to prioritize mastery of cataloging rules and the maintenance of print-based reference collections, whilst today's learners and users interact with information through the cloud, mobile technologies, open source platforms, artificial intelligence. We continue to focus on the logic of the card catalog and the structure of the bibliographic records. Yes, these are good. They form the foundation. But scholarly communication is increasingly defined by open access mandates, preprint servers, data repositories, and global digital collaboration. While these are foundational, as I have mentioned, they are very good. They are foundational. They are not enough on their own at this age and time. Today, societal challenges ranging from information poverty and digital exclusion to disinformation and algorithm biases are demanding a new kind of information professional, one who is ethically grounded and digitally agile. That is what we want. Now, the second one is limited integration of African knowledge systems and local content. Colleagues, when we look back and forward, we will realize that much of our LIS education still centers on Western paradigms of knowledge, organization, often ignoring indigenous knowledge systems, local languages, and the homegrown innovations. This creates a dangerous disconnection between our LIS graduates and the communities that they are meant to serve. Think about it. Our information professionals must not just serve imported models, they must be creators themselves. We must be protectors and amplify our African knowledge. We must imagine a student in a library school learning how to catalog materials. Let's imagine the student. Let's assume that we have one of us in cataloging who is learning to catalog materials. We are taught to catalog the books about African proverbs and their folklore. If LIS graduates here or LIS, if we understand this, these are jargons. If you are not in the profession, sorry about that. But those of us who understand, we are supposed to catalog them under folklore or even under categories that trivializes local wisdom based on Western classification norms. However, colleagues, in their home community or in our home communities, these proverbs are a living, dynamic form of law, ethics, education, and diplomacy. They are not just stories to us or folk tales, but we are forced to do that. If LIS graduates are not trained to value, document, and preserve these knowledge systems on their own terms, we will end up reinforcing the colonial gap and promoting the injustice and systemic barriers that we are talking about. Okay, so then let's move to the next one. Lack of critical engagement with power, privilege, and access. So colleagues, here in much of traditional LIS education, information work is often taught as if it is neutral, objective, and value-free. But no, they are not. Students are trained to organize, to catalog, and to disseminate information without questioning the deeper forces at play. Sometimes I have a paper I am doing, and the paper is entitled Librarianship is Political. Let's discuss. Yes, information work is deeply rooted in politics, but sometimes we are not conscious about it. It is shaped by human decisions about, for instance, think about this, what stories get preserved and whose are forgotten, which languages dominate collections and which are marginalized, who can easily access knowledge and who is systematically excluded, what knowledge is validated, especially when it comes to scientific papers, and what knowledge is dismissed. Oral traditions. So it is very important for us to see our work in the political landscape. Either than that, we will miss out on critically engaging ourselves with the powers that be. The last one, colleagues, is inadequate preparation for emerging roles. We haven't prepared. Okay, so today we need librarians and information professionals who can lead in areas like scholarly communication. We need people who can lead in research data management. We need LIS professionals who can lead in open science advocacy and digital policy. Yet, we have few LIS programs that are even systematically preparing students towards this role. That is why we need to reimagine. All that said and done, you will be asking yourself, is it that we are lost? No, we are not lost. We are here. Opportunities where we could be. Where can we be? Colleagues, the good news is that the gap is current. The gaps in this current LIS education are undeniable, but so too are the extraordinary opportunities that lie ahead of us. We have the chance to reimagine LIS education and use these challenges or turn them into opportunities. The first one, colleagues, is embedding social justice across every course. So you would ask, how do we embed social justice across every course? Let me mention a few to you, how we can do that. In cataloging, students can be asked to explore how classification systems reflect cultural biases, exclude marginalized identities, and perpetuate colonial legacies. They should be encouraged to design metadata that is inclusive, representative, and community-centered. In information ethics, information sources, information literacy, students should, I use the word wrestle, they should fight with questions of surveillance. They should be able to battle through questions that are related to digital or data privacy, okay, and more other obligations of information institutions. In database design, I remember somebody asked me some time ago, well, Monica, you're so passionate about this social justice thing and digital world and all that, but database, we are teaching database, yes, but it's not enough. We must consider how system architectures can either include or exclude users. We have to embed intentionally social justice into these courses. In archival studies, we should examine whose histories are preserved, whose voices are erased, and how to build more participatory community-driven archives. These are very important. Now, when it comes to the next one, equipping LIS students with 21st century skills. Something that I spoke about some time ago when I was given the opportunity to speak at the Ghana Cali Conference. I think I was speaking, I have added a slide, equipping LIS students with 21st century skills. I was given the opportunity to talk about skill sets that are required of the information professional. And I was surprised that looking at the literature, I identified 110 skill sets that are required of the information professional. Very interesting, which I actually brought together into 10 skill sets. So I just condensed the 110 into 10 skill sets in that presentation. I believe that presentation is on the CALIC platform, so you can look at it. But we need a lot of skill sets, a number of them. Now, this is the digitally influent and socially conscious LIS graduates with some of the skill sets. We need to ensure that LIS graduates, we have skill sets in data research management. We need to have digital literacy skills. We need to have public speaking skills because we are serving some clients. These are skills that we need. So as you can see in the diagram, we need skills on open access. We need to understand what the nitty-gritties are. Scholarly communication, we need skills. So I believe that we have a lot of trainings to do, a lot of webinars to talk about these things. Maybe we pick one of these skills, one after the other, and really delve into them, get scholars around the LIS fraternity to talk about them, because we really need them as part of our work. Now, colleagues, let's talk about something interesting. I've been talking all along, but the big question is, who leads this? Who is going to be the leader? Who is going to get there? You, me, ourselves, as LIS educators, as LIS professionals, we are leading here. We are supposed to lead our students. We are supposed to lead the next generation of LIS professionals. And when we are leading them, we need to lead them with a mindset of reimagining our LIS education. Now, what is the role, therefore, of the LIS educator in all these things that we are talking about? What is our role as an LIS educator? What do you have to do? Now, as LIS educators, you know that we perform a lot of, should I say, activities, or we impact a lot of knowledge. And I've already defined who the LIS educator is. So, we are curriculum designers. What should we do? As curriculum designers, we need to know that we are the gatekeepers of the profession. We shape the intellectual foundations of future librarians and information workers. So we need to embed digital competencies, data ethics, indigenous knowledge systems, and justice-oriented content into our programs, so that we can ensure that graduates are not only technically equipped, but also socially conscious of what they're doing. We are mentors, role models. You are a mentor, I am a mentor. So we would need to appreciate and understand this role so that we can model integrity, curiosity, and leadership. We have to nurture students to think critically, act ethically, and see information work not just as a service like we all see it, but as a form of civic engagement and empowerment. We help them connect theory to practice, classroom learning to community needs. That is very important. We need to understand that we are policy advocates. Therefore, we need to influence institutional and national agendas by championing the strategic role of libraries in development, in democracy, and in innovation. We don't have to sit on the fences and watch. No. The VNRs that are being developed by various countries, librarians, our voices have to be there. Our voices matter in educational reforms. Our voices matter in professional standards. And the fight for open and inclusive and equitable information environment. Our voices matter as policy advocates. Finally, we are all scholars as LIS professionals. We produce knowledge, we publish. Knowledge that we produce, we have to be intentional about it. This has to challenge dominant paradigms and amplify underrepresented voices. We need to do this through our research. That is also very important to support lifelong learning. So, colleagues, let us dismantle the outdated image of the librarian as a passive custodian of books. No. Instead, let us promote a bold and modern vision of the LIS profession. Now, let me go on to my last but one slide, the call to action. What do we do? What do we have to do then? So there are certain steps that we need to go through, and I call it the Update System Partners Research Invest. So there are 5. Now let's look at them. The first one is to review and update curricula to include digital competencies and justice-oriented content. Yes, I know we are doing it. When you look around the research that has been produced, yes. For instance, in my department, I told you, formally, the courses that we're running, the LIS curriculum has been changed comprehensively, but we need to do more. Because library and information science education must evolve to meet the demands of the digital era and the social realities of our time. Normally, we forget about the social realities. Curricula should be reviewed regularly to incorporate digital literacy, data stewardship, information ethics, algorithm biases, and critical media analysis. Equally important are other themes that emanate from social justice, inclusion, human rights, etc. The next one is incorporating local knowledge systems and indigenous information practices into teaching. Colleagues, we need to recognize and value local and indigenous systems, that these are very essential for culturally relevant LIS education. Our program should integrate content that explores traditional knowledge transmission, oral histories, community archives. This not only validates non-Western epistemologies, that is the ones that we are teaching, but also equips students to serve at least diverse user communities more effectively and respectively based on our communities and the users that we serve. Thirdly, we need to build partnership with libraries. We need to collaborate. Collaboration with stakeholders beyond academia, such as public and academic libraries, NGOs, and community organizations, can actually offer the LIS students valuable hands-on experience. I remember some time ago, once again, I did a paper, I think it's on university industry collaboration with Professor Bosiri from South Africa and Bright Avogla from Ghana. That paper has also been published. Very interesting findings on how we can collaborate to ensure that we are actually exposing our LIS professionals to the market world. Now, research, very important. We need to encourage student-led research. Let us encourage our students. Let us not allow them to keep their MPhil thesis that they write, their PhD thesis that they write in the libraries. Let us encourage them and help them so we can promote their research outside there. And finally, invest. Okay. We need investment in infrastructure. We need investment in various areas of our profession. And we can really do this when we have good advocacy skills. We need to advocate. We need to be able to speak up on what we do so that we can have the buy-ins. Colleagues, as I indicated, my presentation has been a form of persuasion and at the same time informative and some form of education. But I think I have persuaded you more than to inform you. But I'll conclude by saying that what is the vision forward? That is my conclusion. What is the vision forward? We need a new classroom. Let us train graduates who not only ask, what is the right source? What is the right information source? But whose voices are missing? They need to ask those questions. Let us train graduates like that little boy who asked that question. Let us create graduates or train graduates who would ask the question like that little boy, but be able to stand in front of the old man and still say, Prof, Emeritus, still say, old man, yes, I know, this bridge is good. This bridge is the best. This bridge was built by the strongest of minds. But I think that we need to adjust this a bit because today we are in AI era. That is the new classroom. Let us bring up graduates that ask deeper and bigger questions so that we can prepare them, okay, to go beyond what they're supposed to do to meet the realities of our time. Let us have an LIS that we can co-create syllabi, research, and policy that reflects the Africa that we want. And finally, colleagues, I would end by saying that the future of LIS is ours to shape. Let us reimagine it together every day and try to shape it. So I ask you the question again before I say thank you. If you could redesign LIS education today, what is one topic or skill, after you have listened to me shortly, do you think must be at the core? I say that what should be at the core is something that will let us have a digitally fluent and socially conscious LIS graduate. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica Mensah. Colleagues, you may appreciate that, yes, indeed, the future of LIS education on the continent is bright, not with fluent, digitally, socially conscious graduates and educators like Dr. Monica Mensah. Colleagues, I know you would say, but I can see some of you have already started putting the motions in the chat. At this moment, over to you, Francis.
Thank you, Dr. Sarah. I hope you can hear me. I'm in a very interesting position, not like my colleague was just presented with in the comfort of the office. At Makerere, we are going through an examination season, and I've been part of the process today. So from there, I had to sit somewhere and hide from the rest of the noise so that I share some insights with you. So my name is Francis Ssekitto, and I briefly, that's my video. That's where I'm seated, somewhere in Makerere University. So I'm in Uganda. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues from Africa and friends of Africa that may have joined us for this talk. I'm going to be speaking after a very great speaker, Dr. Mensah, who is really so good at what she does. So, sometimes it's quite hard, but I hope I do this presentation justice. So this is a continuation of a series of talks in AI, but I'm very sure at this stage, most of us have interacted with AI or have heard of the word AI in one way or another. But I would like to share just a few insights about leadership, especially which way for us as African library and information science professionals. So my talk that's a little bit about me. I'm a doctoral student at the University of Johannesburg. At Makerere, I teach with the School of Library and Information Science. It's called the East African School of Library and Information Science. And I have passion for library space design. I also, because of that, I have fallen in love with compound design. I hate buildings which don't have green spaces around them. So I do that as a passion. And since I was told I was to present this, I was asking myself, what have I learned in terms of AI? Because I don't want to give you a textbook experience. And I, with some colleagues, put together a community of women in Uganda who are interested in AI. We called it Ugandan Women in AI. So from the beginning of April to date, we tried out something to see, can we really provide leadership? Our background is library and information science. What can we really do? Because we are not the first to bring up this thing called AI. In Uganda, we have a national committee on artificial intelligence where they have a special team dealing with AI. Uh, uh, curriculum involving AI and data science curricula being developed here and there. So we are wondering what exactly is our contribution. So we ended up convening something around this space, and I'll be sharing this as part of my conclusion. So this is our university. The one you see at the bottom is the school, is the office where Dr. Sarah Kadu is our moderator right now. And the three buildings make up the College of Computing and Information Sciences, which is one of the 10 constituent colleges of Makerere University. Makerere University is in Uganda, started in 1922. We recently celebrated 100 years, and we are an high school. I think we were the first high school, the first school being recognized as an high school in Africa. But since then, other people have joined us. So my talking points are around these ideas. I'll share with you a brief video. It's just 5 minutes, just to thought provoke us, and then I'll take us through the rest of this. And the main question I have for us is, what can we do individually in the face of the changing leadership roles as AI comes along, as library and information science? What is within your power? So that is what I would like to really lay a lot of emphasis on. So moderator, I'm going to be playing this video. Let me see if I can share my computer.
The way we eat. Even
Are you able to see
to each other.
And even hear some of the audio.
Okay. Thank you for taking the time to watch that presentation. I didn't want to redefine for us AI. I thought that video is giving a lot of graphical and textual definition of AI and the impact it has in the rest of the community. So the question is, how are we pitching in as library and information science professionals, educators, and leaders, and even students? So that is something I leave to us. So continuing with our presentation, whenever you talk about AI, these two men are the forefathers of AI. Geoffrey Hinton is still living at the University of Toronto in Canada. He's considered the grandfather of AI. And John McAfee, who passed on some years back, around 14 years back. Was an American computer scientist. These were the forefathers. The interesting thing about this is that they started talking about AI in 1970s. We are discussing it in 2025, and we are saying it is new. Geoffrey Hinton would disagree. The concept was there. What is interesting about these two men is that they led small teams. They led small teams into creating dreams. Today, we could say we are the grandchildren of AI. We who are trying to use it. And it has moved on from being in a serious tech environment to applications for everyday use, as we've just seen. And this is where now the problem is. We need leaders in this space. This is where we have a lot of ideas, but also a lot of fumbling. We have a lot of pretenders, and the colleague told me we have a lot of people who look like they know what they're talking about when they talk about AI. And after you start asking them, how are you taking leadership? Then they start fumbling. So there's a lot of fumbling around there. Today we have moved on to AI for everyday use. For some of you who are in the most of us in the library space, you may have heard of T.D. Wilson's theory, information seeking theories, and Brenda Davin's. In 1995, there was Savolainen, a Finnish scholar who came up with the concept of everyday life information seeking, LIS. You know, even when information seeking came as a theory, most of the time we were talking about seeking information to achieve professional goals. Until this gentleman, as recent as 30 years ago, said, no, information can be sought for everyday use. So we are also now talking about AI for everyday use. Also in the libraries. Can we say that in the libraries it's for everyday use, or is it for professional use? When we adopt AI in our library spaces, are we using it professionally or for everyday use? Again, remember, there's a lot of fumbling and a lot of, we don't know sometimes how far this thing has gone or how long it is going to go into the future. We don't know whether we are still at the introductory bit, even with so much coming in every day. So, but let us remind ourselves, the functions of the libraries and information spaces have still remained the same. AI is coming to help us do this better. Our focus is still generally on acquiring information, organizing it, preserving it, and providing access to information and knowledge in the various formats. So AI is coming into this. So we should be very careful not to lose our vision, our core function as library and information science professionals. Remember, we are AfLIA here. So, but this function is evolving. So libraries are not just repositories where we collect, we are now agents of change. Now that's where the AI comes in. Now we are starting to do things in a different way. Perhaps we are adopting AI faster than accountants adopted IT systems. They did it faster than us, but we are adopting AI faster than them, probably. So the fourth industrial revolution is presenting for us opportunities and challenges, as Dr. Mensah has presented. But also, we are also witnessing a growing need for African librarians to lead, to take leadership. It's no longer now the people in the northern hemisphere who are supposed to take lead. We are supposed to take lead. So we are saying that AI can help us serve our communities better by helping us deliver our mandate faster, smarter, but also most importantly, more inclusively. I had an opportunity to buy flowers. I love flowers, as I said, and I didn't know flowers. So I went to this guy in Uganda. Most of us buy flowers by the roadside. People go around wetlands where there are papyrus swamps, and then they put flowers. Very interesting flowers that we have. Some of them are imported. I didn't know many of the names of the flowers. So what we did, we used a tool called Picture This, which is an AI-powered app, and we would take a photo of the pic of the flower, and then we would know the name of the flower. So you see, now that the people who are selling these are not necessarily graduates, and now the information search game for them is becoming more inclusive. They don't know anything about DDC or UDC or colon or whatever classification schemes. They don't know about a Library of Congress, but they can tell me this is a snake plant or this is a copper leaf plant. Things that are quite interesting. So can we do that in the library, or are others doing it faster than us? So AI matters for libraries. We cannot throw it out. It matters in our technical section through automated cataloging and metadata enrichment. So it's not enough for you to just catalog. You will catalog, but using AI, you can also maybe come in with a bit of images to enrich your list in your catalog. Your metadata and the catalog list. Language translation, definitely. Round the clock access to library services through chat boxes and predictive tools, and generally through research writing, you know, the famous chat GPT. And now we are struggling to catch people who are using it. So it matters to librarians. It really does. So we cannot be gatekeepers who prevent others from using it. So we, instead of alienating it, we are saying we should take leadership and have it responsibly used in our spaces. I'm saying our, because I'm speaking passionately as a librarian, a library management professional. So, and we are saying librarians in Africa have to take leadership. Why is this important? We cannot just import solutions forever. AI is one of the greatest equalizers, in my opinion. It's one of the greatest equalizers from people who are not educated at the same level to people who are not economically endowed the same way. So it means that any person can adopt or even develop a solution or develop a service. Sometimes in library spaces, we may not necessarily develop solutions, AI models, but we may participate in designing our services using these tech innovations. So we must take lead in the narrative in our spaces. Many of us are working in universities, and we are saying the librarians or library professionals must now lead in taking this in this narrative to shape the technology and protect, most importantly, protect our knowledge ecosystems. Our knowledge is because most AI depends on a lot on deep learning and machine learning, which depend a lot on data. And we know even with ChatGPT, which we famously used, most of the facts have not necessarily been correct. And most of the generative AI especially gives, most of them give disclaimers about the accuracy of the knowledge they claim to generate. So this is where our leadership comes in. So AI built without African voices risks becoming a blind tool to our realities, and that's the reality. I was trying to use an AI tool to transcribe a narrative. I was presenting, and they wanted a narrative. They wanted slides and a narrative, and preparing a narrative using PowerPoint slides can be challenging in terms of time. So I started speaking, and I realized my accent was foreign to the model, to these transcribing AI models. So you see, it was blind to my reality, and I almost cast the whole system. So we must bring our what makes us African to this without without reducing the quality of the system. So in Africa, we know that Ubuntu and our ethical approach to life is something we celebrate. We are not as individualistic. So the way the narrative is driven in AI must reflect our side. And some of the best sources of data and that these AI models can be trained against librarians. So AI is also changing library leadership. Now, this is our detour from the curriculum developers. So we are saying it is changing our leadership from tradition to a higher tech-savvy leadership. And yes, we have always talked about tech-savvy, and we thought that having a computer on a librarian's desk meant that that person is tech-savvy. And then we became more of data entrance, but beyond that, we are not adding a lot of value. So, but here we are saying decisions are going to be data-driven. How you buy books beyond the suggestion boxes. Now your data should be a little bit at a higher level, beyond intuition and experience. So library leaders need stronger understanding of AI in this case, in order to provide this tech-savvy leadership. And most importantly, our roles, especially in terms of leadership, are going to lay a lot of emphasis on change management. So beyond just adopting systems, how are we managing change? How are we ensuring that change is not resisted and it's adopted in a way that is healthy, but also does not bog down work, where leadership is celebrated and not frustrated? So the other thing that the discussion about AI and leadership is ethical and advocacy leadership. So we are becoming more of advocates. Again, I will be making a lot of emphasis on this. So, and also pushing for ethical use of AI, especially around areas of data privacy and combating misinformation. For me, misinformation is not a COVID issue. I know the thing of misinformation was a major issue around COVID. For me, I come from a tribe in Uganda where names are aligned to clans. And when I asked DeepSeek, the clan my name belongs to, they gave me the wrong clan, which was misinformation, personal misinformation. They're not even misinforming the public, but they made me feel bad. I said, okay, this technology is misinforming. So you see, but beyond that, it could mean misinforming the whole class when someone is teaching and they have used AI to generate some of their facts. So it could mean misinforming a bigger community about the use of a particular herb, and you are part of a botany lab, a library. But it also means collaborative leadership. So AI, in the age of AI, I know at the turn of the century, we are talking about libraries and partnerships with a lot of support from the the northern hemisphere. But now we are talking about partnerships, especially among sectors, libraries and other sectors, and also libraries and policymakers and libraries and communities. Now, leadership is also going to be in this space. So it means that the librarian is no longer going to wait for people to come to him or her. The librarian is going to go out and seek for partnerships in the age of AI. So the way we develop our services in the library spaces, the service design must change, and that's what number 5 is about. But it also means changing our skills. From Dr. Mensah's presentation, there were 110 skill sets. Someone would say, do I need a certificate in each of those skills, in each of those things that were listed? Perhaps, maybe technical skills and even soft skills, emotional intelligence, because managing AI and human collaboration can really be very frustrating. And most importantly, we must now redefine what success in leadership is. Is it how many books someone has lent out anymore? Success may include adoption of AI rates, digital literacy outcomes, and community engagement with new technology. I do a lot of work in the community at a personal level, and one of the things we've been doing is teaching children to appreciate not littering around their communities in one of the in one of the primary schools that I've been engaged with, and we had to use technology to demonstrate things. without just using videos. So you see, the primary schools, I mean, we are using the school curriculum to train kids how to appreciate nature, going beyond what is recommended in the books. The books could not demonstrate most of the things we wanted. So developing animations and all sorts of things using AI models was really very helpful. So for such a teacher who does that, or for an educator, or for a community a community officer, this would really define success for them. So so in light of that, I need to remind us that Africa is rising. I just thought this slide should be in. Africa stands in a very interesting way. We are the youngest population by average age, and the population is rising higher than any other part of the world. All the other populations are declining, ours is going up. So even our libraries in this space are growing in number, but also in service demands. Serving young people means something for us in the African library spaces. So we cannot just be gatekeepers of books, but we are guardians of knowledge. Most importantly, we are guardians of culture and innovation. So it's an opportunity for us in the library spaces. Let me skip that. I just wanted to remind us also, these are just slides to remind us of things we've always known, that literacy is not one-dimensional. Ohio State University developed a model where they said literacy is in many formats, and the other models which emphasize 8 skill sets and other skill sets, but I liked this, that we have information literacy, technology literacy. In the age of AI, these literacies are very, very important. Information literacy, technology literacy, visual literacy, statistical literacy. Now that is where mathematics becomes a problem. Data literacy, and critical reasoning. So for us in the library space, especially as we design information literacy sessions, we are saying these are things that we focus on. It's not enough to just show how people to get things from your library space. It also may mean teaching people even basic computing. But beyond that, how can they get facts without even coming to you? So you teach them how systems learn. I mean, for us in the library space, we must know how systems learn, operate, and fail. And most importantly, how this human AI collaboration can be enhanced and the ethical implications thereof. So, so what should we do? I'm about to close, don't worry. One, we are going to have to adapt to AI-driven changes. Now, the thing with this is that they are coming so fast. So the rate of adaptation amidst changes which may not stay for long can be a challenge. But generally, we should agree that AI has come and we must adapt. So we are going to embrace AI. We encourage to embrace AI, upskill the staff that we work with if we are leaders. Leadership in this case is no longer just positional, but it also means personal leadership, because you will notice that for some of us, influence is going to come before positions come. So you cannot say, I'm not a leader in the library space, so AI is not my business. Sometimes you are going to be asked to take on leadership of AI based initiatives before even positions come, before you become the chief librarian, before you become the dean. I am not the dean of my faculty. I may not be one in the near future, but I take leadership in the area of e-learning development because of my appreciation of AI. So you see, so because I upskilled fast, and they said, no, you do that, take on leadership in that area. So the other thing beyond adaptation, I ask a question here: does your workplace even allow the use of AI, or are they still gatekeeping, seeing it as something that is making people not to be creative? So number two, we must lead innovation and community engagement. So what does that mean? You as a library professional in your space, you may have to start up in AI initiatives. You are going to start up things before they are handed down to you. In leadership, there are these theories where they say top-bottom leadership and bottom-up leadership. Now we are saying this is no longer top-bottom or bottom-up. You may have to pilot an idea and you champion that. When we were doing e-learning in Makerere, they termed us e-learning champions. It's not even on the it's not even on the appointment letters, but we were called e-learning champions. And when they are writing emails that are going to everyone in that position, say, dear e-learning champions, and you say, when did I become that? So because someone piloted e-learning. So even for this, we may have to pilot initiatives and collaborate with tech partners. Many a time we may not be having the technology with us or even everything that we need to start these initiatives, but it also means collaborating with others and causing memorandas to be signed, MOUs for people to come and work with you in your initiatives. But also it's going to mean you dreaming of your space looking different. Reimagine your space. Many of us in the library space who entered at the turn of the century, if you asked any person in 1990 whether they wanted to be librarians, they didn't want that. Why? Because the picture of a librarian was discouraging. The librarian was something to avoid. The top 10 positions or a person wanted to be jobs a person wanted to do in primary school, librarian was not part of it. Now, because the people then did not reimagine these spaces, now we have a duty to reimagine spaces and make our places beautiful. So transform these library spaces into innovation hubs, into human technology interaction centers, so that we coexist for this lifelong learning journey. And thirdly, advocacy. Now, the librarian before was a person who was quiet, who had to wait for things to be done and then follow as they are being asked to do. Now, in this case, as you lead your initiatives, as you start up an initiative, it means you're going to speak out. So it means you're going to educate people that were not even listening before, as you bridge this digital divide by also ensuring equity and equality when it comes to use of spaces. In all these slides I asked, does your workplace even allow AI use? Do you even have an AI policy in your workplace? So as we inch towards the close, this is what I wanted us to really go home with. What is within your power as a library information profession, considering the changing leadership needs? I have 7 areas that I think, or 6 or 7 of areas that we think are within your power. Not everything is within your power. Some of the areas may need you to, you may not be able to do them because of the way you are positioned, but then there are things which everyone is, as long as you're a librarian, we think this is the bottom line, you can really do this. One, you can stand as a recommender. Because librarians tend to be judges of information quality and technology quality. So you can start by being providing curatorial and ethical influence. This you can do by assessing information quality and AI-generated results and speaking about them to people, even if it's one person who has come and someone has come with many times, especially in university libraries, when people are submitting their theses and papers, they ask that the library produces an originality report. Beyond the originality report, what if you also have an AI report and you recommend that? So you have that ethical influence over that process. The other thing is that you also become a bridge, especially in human technology interaction, as you add a human layer as people use these technologies. So AI generally lacks empathy. Librarians don't. So you provide that personalized guidance and emotional support to those to people, however low you may be. For a chief librarian, that may be hard. So you may encourage maybe the people below you to guide people as they use these technologies with not just rules. Don't do this. Don't use ChatGPT. Don't do this. There's that empathy you add to that layer. And then add AI literacy to your information literacy sessions. Then the other one is community advocacy for your library in this AI-driven austerity. One thing you have to know is that as AI takes root, budgets are going to be cut further. People think you need to replace all reference librarians with chatbots. What if you are the one to advocate for the library in the changing budgeting processes as AI becomes prevalent? And also shaping policy around your AI use, you become the advocate, but also creative adaptation. So rather than just pushing it away, you creatively embed AI use in people's jobs, those that are below you, or if you are the one, you just make it part of your use. It just eases your work without necessarily pushing you out. So I would like to share with you on this last slide what we've done in Uganda. Like I said at the beginning, when I was told about this talk, I said, as a librarian, which initiative have we led in terms of AI? And I looked at the initiatives around. In Makerere University, there are quite a number of AI labs I've seen in the College of Engineering and even in my mother college, College of Computing. We have AI in health. Then there's something which looks at agriculture. And most of these are not attracting people in the library and information science journey because there's a way we think it's too tech. There's a lot of tech around it. So, and tech, especially by tech, I mean coding, programming. So we feel it's not the language we should speak. We should use it without telling people we are using it. So I sat down with some people who have graduated and I asked them, what are you interested in? And then two of the ladies who graduated from my school said, what if we had a community where we look at AI for everyday use, including research, and then we just have those people who do tech as just one of the departments there. So in April, we started an initiative called Ugandan Women in AI. We built a website for it, and we put up a LinkedIn page. Within the first 1 week, I'm talking about the beginning of April, these people wrote to us using the LinkedIn page. I was receiving the reports. The French Chamber of Commerce asked us, come and tell us what you're doing. French Chamber of Commerce, Uganda. We have a forum where we invite different companies from France that are situated in Uganda, talk about what they're doing. One of the things we are talking about is AI. Come and tell us what you're doing and how we can support. Now they wanted women. Now I cannot even go. So that's one of the reasons we had to build a website, because they got us off LinkedIn. Then the Finnish Church Aid also asked for a meeting. She's AI Australia. The website is sheisai.ai. You can check out. It's an Australian-based magazine that is trying to promote women in AI around the world. And when these ones, we had a meeting with them. And they are putting together a global council. And guess what? Two of the ladies here have been inducted into that global council thing. Now they can add that to that CV. I liked this, and the way I'm sharing this with you is that this was part of us moving away from our jobs to being AI advocates, but from LIS, and we are not even tech people. And people are saying, yeah, we want people that are promoting AI for everyday use. And then there's Google Development Group in Brunswick, which also has asked, can we have a training? You mobilize people and we train them. And the most interesting for me was the Niger AI Film Festival. I have never heard of this, but they said, do some of your members develop small movie projects? We want them to come and showcase. We'll pay for the tickets to go to Nigeria. These are very interesting things. So I have noticed that AI has made us fair game with people that we thought are really ahead of us, especially in the library space, and also those who are in more advanced economies, and the opportunity to collaborate on projects are immense. So I would like to end here by saying the best libraries of the future won't just manage books. Already they're not just managing books. They'll navigate its sections of technology, ethics, and human interaction. So as librarians, let us lead and not fumble. I know we are still fumbling, but let us not fumble. Thank you so much for listening.
I have two quick announcements, or three quick announcements. One, the library education training information section of AfLIA is welcoming everyone on board. Please join us. Let us build a LETIS section. Let us build AfLIA, and let us build the continent. Let us support LIS education. You remember from the presentations we've just had, they are calling for collaboration, partnership, and name it. And of course, I was trapped. I seem to fall on the other side, whereby I'm still illiterate. Oh my, there are so many types of literacies, and I cannot achieve all of them. So I need to upskill, and everything. Announcement number 2, kindly renew your membership with AfLIA if you want to be in good standing order, and we can always become a member through paying individual membership fees, or you can become a member through your institution or an association. So let us encourage our associations to subscribe to AfLIA, and we become members in good standing order with AfLIA. Announcement number 3, AfLIA is putting up the 6th AfLIA conference and the 8th African Library Summit, scheduled to take place through 18th to 23rd May 2025. And the venue is Windhoek International Convention Center, Windhoek, Namibia. Karibuni sana, karibuni wote. Welcome, come one, come all. Registration is ongoing. Please visit our AfLIA website and then get further details. Personally, there's quite a lot that I've appreciated from the first presentation to the second presentation. We need to work together. If we want to make Africa a better place, we need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to partner. We need to build the discipline together. There is a question to Francis. If some colleagues want to join the women initiative, how do they become part of it? So I can see Francis has also shared his email in the chat room. Kindly pick it and then make a follow-up after that. I think that is okay. Colleagues, once again, I want to say thank you so much for making the time and also for being a wonderful audience. Bye-bye, and see you in the near future.